Benita Charles. A little courtesy goes a long way. Benita Charles.
Madam Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. Have you ever been in a store where the salesperson just threw your change at you? Or you're waiting in a long line for hours and someone just cuts the line in front of you? What about you're on the subway, it's rush hour, and someone slams into you without saying, "Excuse me"? That's rude. Don't they know a little courtesy goes a long way? If you live in New York, you're no stranger to rude behavior. According to a survey conducted by Travel and Leisure magazine, New York was voted the #1 rudest city in America. Well, I have a little problem with this survey. First of all, it doesn't take into account that New York is a massive city of over 8 million people with various cultures and backgrounds. What may be rude to one person could be standard to another. Secondly, the outside world may take this at face value. But those of us who live in New York, we know that New York has some of the nicest people you will ever meet. So, what can we do to change New York's negative image? I have a PR campaign that I call the Big Apple Courtesy Campaign. Now, the slogan of the Big Apple Courtesy Campaign is changing New York's image one kind act at a time. Now, let's talk about courtesy in business. Going back to our first scenario, if this business incorporated the Big Apple Courtesy Campaign, that saleswoman would have been nice. She would have been pleasant, and you would have had such a wonderful shopping experience. I know when I go in a store and I have such a great shopping experience, I want to go back. Equally important is how a business handles problems. With the massive amount of people that come to New York, there's bound to be room for misunderstandings. Now, a company that incorporates the Big Apple Courtesy Campaign, they know that the customer is #1, and they make sure they handle those problems promptly. Besides, we want the customers to go back and talk about what a wonderful time they had in New York and how nice everyone was. Another area that can benefit from the Big Apple Courtesy Campaign is during your commute. I was on the subway the other day, and there was a gentleman standing in the door of the train. It was during rush hour. There was room in the train, but he thought that was a great idea. So he's standing here, and as the new people are coming into the train, apparently a woman bumped into him, and he went ballistic. He started calling her all kinds of horrible names, but she was tough. She held her own, and they started going at it, tit for tat, tit for tat. This went on for so long, everyone started looking at each other, and I turned to the lady next to me, and I said, "You think she might want to stop talking to him? He could be crazy." Well, luckily her stop came, and she got off the train, but not without yelling for him to get off. Thank goodness he stayed on the train. But I can't help but wonder, what would have happened if she had just said, "Excuse me"? Another area you can help on the subway is directions. Sometimes I know the subway is very confusing, and tourists, they don't know what to do. And any help you can give is helpful. So I was on the subway platform the other day, and I was admiring a lady's coat. It was a beautiful houndstooth coat with a bright red bag. I must have had a friendly face, because she approached me and she said, "Excuse me, can you tell me how I can get to 42nd Street?" I said, "I'm going that way, no problem." So we're on the train, and I find out that the coat she had came from Century 21, and she was so thrilled, and she wanted to know about all the other finds, and I told her, we had such a wonderful chat, we're now Facebook friends. Imagine, all the way from Germany. Who would have thought one simple act of kindness would blossom into an international friendship? Finally, courtesy is good for our humanity. I used to live on the last stop on the 2 train. It was a grueling commute of 1 hour and 15 minutes on a good day. There was a gentleman that worked in the subway. He was so nice. he would smile, and every day he'd say, hello. I didn't think anything about it at first, but then I began to look forward to that. Somehow or another, all I needed was his smile and hello, and my day would be great. So one day, I didn't see him. And then I didn't see him again. And then I never saw him after that. I wish I could tell him what his kindness did for me. It made such a huge impact on my life. More so that I wrote a song called We Can Make a Difference. And there's a line in that song that was inspired by that experience. And the line goes, sometimes a smile is all you need to lift somebody's day. We can make a difference. In conclusion, I hope my Big Apple Courtesy campaign has inspired you to think a little bit more about courtesy. Think about courtesy in business, when you're shopping, when you're in a restaurant, leave a tip. Courtesy during your commute, give up your seat for the elderly. And courtesy in life, when you're walking down the street, stop and say hello. Well, you don't have to stop, but just say hello to someone. You never know. It might make someone's day. If we all made these small little changes, imagine what kind of place New York would be. The outside world would see what we already know, that New York is the best place to be.